What is up, comic fam? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. Today we're going to be talking about comic convention exclusives. What are they? First, check this out. Let's give a quick shout out to the channel sponsors, Big Time Collectibles, for sponsoring the monthly Legion loot box. That's the monthly giveaway box that all the channel members in the $5.99 tier are entered to win each month. They're an amazing shop if you're looking for some retailer exclusives, some ratio variants, or to place your FOC orders ahead of time. Be sure to check them out at bigtimecollectibles.com. You can also follow them on social media on Instagram and Facebook. Their links are in the description to every video. Also like to thank Justin Comics over on Instagram. If you need any books cleaned or pressed, definitely hit up Justin. He can take care of you. It's for as little as $10 per book. He has some of the fastest turnaround times you'll see. He can also submit to CGC and CBCS for you. Be sure to use code WeAreLegion for the buy two, get the third book promo that we have going on. All right, let's get right into it. So today we're going to talk about comic convention exclusives. What are they? What do they pertain to? Is it something that you should know about or do you even care to know about? So for me, I first discovered convention exclusives by following specific artists. So it's no secret to the channel that I'm definitely a big John Jang fan when it comes to his artwork. So I noticed from trying to fill holes in that he does what's called convention exclusives. And it even made me go back and look at some of the old stuff I looked at. So we're going to break down and talk about what that means and how you get your hands on some of these items that are exclusives. So first off, convention exclusives are items that specifically pertain to a comic convention that's going on. So for those that don't know, and I can't imagine anybody that does know, comic conventions are large events that are set up and planned numerous times a year all over the place where vendors, creators, writers, artists, different shops, like they all come together in one location to celebrate comic fandom. And they'll have set up booths where they'll be selling their merchandise or advertising upcoming stuff that they have, as well as there'll be writers and artists set up where you can meet your favorite ones and get books signed, movies signed. I mean, pop culture spreads through all forms of media. Most recently, we just saw the New York Comic-Con here when they just had that one, which they weren't able to have it last year due to COVID. So they had one this year, which went off really well. They had a great turnout. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing crowds returning to things and stuff kind of getting back to normal. So with that, we're going to be seeing more and more cons coming up. So I figured this is a great time to talk about it. So straight up, what these exclusives are, it's these retailers, these shops, all these places, they'll get specific merchandise that will be on sale only at these conventions. They're typically very limited in numbers, and you can't get them outside of the convention except on the secondary market like eBay or social media apps like Instagram or Facebook and stuff like that. And you're always going to see an extremely inflated price on them. So if you're able to go to a con, it's definitely worth going to try to see if there's any of those there that you'd be looking for. And a simple Google search can help you find what is going to be listed at these cons. So then with that Google search, you'll see if you'll be wanting anything, and then you'll be able to look up where these people are located in the convention. This might sound complicated, but it's very, very easy to get information. Like I said, a simple Google search will take you to a website. Using New York Comic-Con as an example, they had their own website that was set up that showed you every item that's going to be exclusive to the convention that year, as well as a floor plan layout. So you would know where everything is located. So because of how limited stuff is, you pretty much have to prioritize what you're looking for, what you want, because it's really sad to say it, but no way you're going to grab everything that you might want. So you got to just kind of get in there, hit the ones that you definitely want and get out. For me, it's been rough because like I said, I'm a huge collector of John Jang stuff. I'm a completist with it. So now that conventions are back up and running, we've had the MegaCon as well as the Dallas Fan Expo, both of which he's had convention exclusive stuff there, and I wasn't able to get my hands on it. So I had to reach out to people who were going, and luckily I found some and they were able to grab some stuff for me. So we'll look at some of that here in a minute, but let's talk more about what some of those exclusives are, because it's not always comic books. Like GameStop, for example, at one of the recent cons had an exclusive action figures, pins, pops, like all kinds of stuff, like anything in the collectible world at all. You can imagine they were there. Like there's some pins right there from the 2008 convention. And even when we were going through COVID and we weren't able to meet in person, they were having virtual Comic-Cons online where they were still offering a lot of exclusive content you couldn't find elsewhere. So like I said, if you want to get in on that stuff, you definitely want to try to get in at the ground level. So let's look at some of the books that I've managed to pick up. Like probably the big one, here's a noticeable difference. So first off, this was a standard Scorpion Comics exclusive from their website, not from a convention. This was for issue number 40. So this is what you tend to see with the con exclusives, more or less from my experience. So you have the standard one, and then in 2019, they did the Boston City Comic Con, and Scorpion Comics, who owned this image, did an exclusive for the convention where the image was slightly different. So more or less, that's what you tend to see, is how they'll just have a more limited number. Like this, I think, was like 600 of them made, 600 or 800, and this was like 150. So the value of this one is way higher, even being a Power Ranger book. Like this one's double signed and everything, but the value of that book is like $300. It's kind of excessive. So here recently, when MegaCon hit, Frankie's Comics had this store exclusive that they sold. And then as the MegaCon came up closer, they started putting out on social media and stuff that they'll be having a convention exclusive. And the one that they did for MegaCon was this image right here. Now, I know what you're thinking, that looks familiar, and it should. See, they just reversed the image, changed the color on it, but now it makes a really cool companion piece. And they announced that on their website and stuff ahead of time. So if you do follow shops, you might be able to catch it ahead of time before the conventions hit. But that's definitely not easy to follow all these shops. So that's why I suggest kind of checking the actual websites of the Comic Cons that are happening. And again, it might sound like a lot, but it's super easy. You just have to kind of find the time, and it doesn't take too much. And then the Dallas Fan Expo was the most recent one where I actually needed an item from there. So Primordial came out here recently, that book. I think it's from Image Comics, but it was fantastic. I'm pretty sure it was Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino that did the art, and I was blown away by it. And then to top it all off, after the book came out, the day before Dallas Fan Expo, Frankie's Comics announced that their exclusive convention book for that is going to be Primordial by John Jang. So I reached around and checked in the community, because luckily at this point I do know a lot of people in the community. So I try to tap into those resources that I've talked about in previous videos and network. And I found somebody who was going, and he was able to go in there to the Frankie's Table booth and pick me up a copy. And then on top of that, he took it over to the artist alley where the artist who did the cover, John, was there, and he signed the book for me. So that was absolutely mind-blowing. So this book wasn't even, the variant for this wasn't even available at all. But then after the fact, after the convention, they did put them on sale with like the little trade dress on them. So that was awesome pickup. I'm really excited to still have that complete John Jang collection. But that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today, was just kind of give an overview really fast of what exactly convention exclusives are. Let people know they're not limited to toys or pops or comics. They're just, who knows what they can be. They can be prints, posters, whatever. So for New York City Comic Con, just using John Jang as an example, he didn't have any exclusive comics, but he did have 2 exclusive prints that were not for sale outside of that event, before the event, or anything like that. So you never know what's going to be out there. So if there's an artist that you favor, be sure to follow their social media accounts. If there's a shop that tends to be one of your go-to shops, definitely check in with them on a regular basis now that cons are back in season. So with that, I'm going to leave you. And as always, I definitely want to give a big thank you to all the channel members. The support from this community is insane. And I cannot thank all of you people who have joined the channel enough. I mean, it means the world to me. And if you do want to if you want to consider becoming a member, there is a blue button that says join down below next to the subscribe button. Hit that, and there's 2 different tiers. You can check in and see which one best suits you. And as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.